In this podcast, we will be talking to the people without whose vision and foresight we all have not been sitting here. They started the revolution 22 years ago, back in India, by serving food to underprivileged children so they could go to school. Akshaya Patra is the world's largest secular school lunch program, serving 2 million nutritious meals to school children daily. But first, let us watch this beautiful story. Brother, I'm hungry. Mother, I'm hungry. Yes, Mom, me too. From rumbling bellies to homeless hearts, Akshaya Patra stands strong, ensuring no one journeys alone. Join us in filling stomachs and hearts and nourishing minds, giving wings to the dreams of children. Hunger stifles potential, depriving kids of play and learning. Our mission is clear: end hunger, nurture minds. No child is deprived of education because of hunger. Akshaya Patra, nourishing lives, nurturing dreams.
I had letters from different schools asking for feeding, and all of them added to around 100,000 kids.
Oh, wow.
So I was overwhelmed. I mean, how can I start this? Where will be the recurring expenditure come from? And if you start once, you cannot stop it.
We feed 2.2 million children every day
Oh, wow.
in India from 67 kitchens all over the country. And we don't have a corpus. The might of the government, the compassion of an NGO like ours, and the use of technology, and we all come together and make this happen, it's going to change the future of our country. That's our strong belief. We want to ensure no child in our country is deprived of education because of hunger, and education will take the entire family out of the cycle of poverty.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
How are you doing this morning?
All by Lord's grace. Day is looking very bright, especially with this, our endeavor for getting across this podcast,
Thank you so much.
which is very exciting.
Thank you so much, Madhu Pandit Dasa Prabhu and Chanchalapathi Prabhu, for giving us your grace and blessings. We are so fortunate to be here today in front of our thousands and millions of viewers and listeners. We are so blessed to have you both here today.
Our pleasure.
Thank you so much. So, maybe the first question for all of you: why are we doing this podcast?
We feel this podcast is a good medium to voice the concern of millions of children, hungry children in India. Unless we voice their concern of hunger, they cannot reach out to people who are now hearing. So we find that this is a very good medium to. I myself at one time never knew that there were so many hungry children in the schools. So I was shocked when I heard they are running in hundreds of thousands. So in this way, I think many people are not aware of classroom hunger.
Absolutely.
So I think this podcast will help us broadcast
Message.
the pains of hunger of these children.
Right. And to that, a small prayer for our viewers and listeners. Let there be no pain, let there be no suffering, let there be no hatred, let there be only love and the well-being of our children, who are the future of our generation. And that's such a beautiful message, Madhu Pandit Dasa Prabhuji. And we know the story of how Akshaya Patra got started. But would you like to just tell us once more, how was it started and what made you, both of you, start Akshaya Patra?
Actually, as I explained, without even knowing the scale of classroom hunger,
Right.
in a very simple way, we thought we would start feeding a few schools, 5 schools around our ISKCON Bangalore temple, using the temple kitchen. And then in a few weeks' time, we were so well received, the taste of the food and everything, that word spread around to hundreds of schools around Bangalore, in Bangalore city. And then in about 5-6 months' time, I had letters from different schools asking for feeding. And all of them added to around 100,000 kids.
Oh, wow.
So I was overwhelmed. I mean, how can, I start this? Where will be the recurring expenditure come from? And if you start once, you cannot stop it. So it is at that time when every day I used to go and sit in my office in the morning to do my seva. This thick file would stare at me. I have to reply to them whether I'm going to accept that or not. It's at that time that one of our temple members came to me and said, Prabhuji, have you read about this anecdote of Srila Prabhupada? I want to read it out to you. I think Chanchalapathi Prabhu will explain that anecdote. Why don't you speak?
Sure, Prabhu.
Srila Prabhupada is the founder of ISKCON. He's the one who established ISKCON temples all over the world. This was in the year between 1966 to 77. In one of the temples in India, Srila Prabhupada had inaugurated the temple and Prana Pratishta of the deity of Krishna was conducted. It was in West Bengal, near Calcutta. It was a rural setting, and hundreds of guests had come from Calcutta and different parts of the country for the ceremony. And at midday, a big lunch feast was served to all the guests. And after the lunch feast, Srila Prabhupada was in his quarters. Suddenly he heard outside his window dogs barking and cries of children. Srila Prabhupada walked out of his room to the corridor, and he saw from there were poor village children shooing away stray dogs to gather some food from the leaf plates which were strewn there. Srila Prabhupada was a very compassionate person. He felt for the pains of others. When he saw that, there were tears in his eyes. He called the leaders of ISKCON at that time and he said, "We have installed a temple and installed the deity of Krishna here. Krishna is the father of everyone. And where there is father, the children should not go hungry." At that time, he gave a mandate. We should ensure that no child in a 3-mile radius of a temple should go hungry. This was the inspiration that, as it is also a tradition in our country, in temples, there is always a feeding program so that nobody goes hungry, especially children. So this anecdote was in the back of our minds, and when we came across this kind of a situation, so many thousands and thousands of applications for feeding children, and then we felt that we should do something.
Absolutely. And that is so beautiful. Thanks for sharing that. And we are sitting today in the heart of technology of the world, Silicon Valley. And as you say, that is such a big problem one would like to solve. So what do you think is the role of technology in Akshaya Patra's history and background? And how far have we come? And what do you think is the future going to be for us?
If not for the technology, we could have never scaled feeding. In fact, it is the first time that so much technology has been leveraged for a social cause. Our feeding program, Akshaya Patra's feeding program, could not have been achieved without using the best of the technologies to feed that many number of kids. So, Akshaya Patra's model is largely that of a centralized kitchen, a kitchen that cooks meal for 50,000 kids or even 100,000 kids in 4 to 5 hours and then deliver them to the doorsteps of the schools. So, you can't imagine, without technology how, 50,000, 100,000 meals can be prepared.
Absolutely.
So, it has helped us a lot, a centralized kitchen.
Sure.
And the very specific kinds of innovations we have made to suit the menu that is required in different parts of the country. South India, we have one type of a menu. North India, we have another type of menu. And each of them requires custom-made machines. For instance, the roti making machine. It's something that, because Akshaya Patra feeds food that is very, according to local palate. So, in North India, we learned it the hard way. Initially, we fed the same thing as South India. Even though children were hungry, after 2 weeks, they were not showing so much interest in taking the same rice and sambar. They needed roti.
Right.
So, imagine, if you want to feed 50,000 kids, at least 2 rotis, you need 100,000 rotis. I mean, to roll 100,000 rotis is next to impossible.
Agreed.
So, that's when, we went around the market, what's the best machines that are available, and we found that, there were puppet making machines, and there were best of the machine we found in a military canteen. About 2,000 rotis could be prepared.
Wow.
That's all. But we needed 100,000 to feed 50,000 kids, right?
Right.
So, that's when we engaged the people in Ludhiana, best of the manufacturing, hub of in Punjab.
Sure.
And then we engaged somebody there, and then that person completely, designed a chapati making machine, an indigenous one, a jugaad. And that machine, we set it up in North Indian first kitchen in Vrindavan. And he stayed there for 6 months to see that because it used to keep breaking down because it's a new one. He just invented it. And then finally, to cut the story short, today we have a machine that produces 40,000 chapatis per hour.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
And it's working very well.
That's great. That's great. And that is it is an innovation, right?
Yes.
And sitting at heart of innovation of the world, I believe this is such a strong message for the children as well, that we always tell, and when you are building companies, when you're starting new big initiatives, that start from first principles. Look at how the problem can be solved from the first principles. And when I say first principles is, okay, if you want to build a rocket, how can it be assembled from the ground root? You don't need to go to a manufacturer who's already doing that. And I think what you just mentioned, that you did the research, you found those papad making machines, and then use those to create rotis. I think that is such an amazing message for everybody, that no problem is so big. You can always innovate. You can always think, how can we make this a scalable solution? And I think that's such a great attempt by Akshaya Patra. So thank you for sharing that. And when I was going through the website of Akshaya Patra, obviously I'm a big volunteer and a believer. I saw this very interesting message and a stat that of all 29% world's malnourished, of all the world's malnourished children, 29% of them live in India. And I know Akshaya Patra is working really hard to solve that problem. But what do you think? What do we need today? What should be the strategy? What should we do?
Akshaya Patra's strategist is Chanchalapathi Dasa. He can answer that.
You see, in Akshaya Patra, the approach is, let's address hunger among children. And let's address it in a very strategic way.
Sure.
Actually, we must also acknowledge that Akshaya Patra closely works with the governments in India, the government of India and the state governments.
Sure.
The problem is being addressed in a very interesting way by the government, and we partner with the government and become an implementing arm of the government. If we feed children in the school, that will bring more children to the school.
Agreed.
And if they have good food and address the classroom hunger, all the other expenditure the government is making for educating children in the schools by giving them uniform, staff salary, textbooks, notebooks, and government spends all that money, and if children are hungry, they're not in a mind to really absorb the lessons.
Right.
So a small incremental investment of providing a food makes all of the other expenditure the government is making more productive.
Agreed.
So if we focus on children in schools, feed them, get them educated, nutrition and education is an most important factor for taking people out of poverty.
Agreed.
When people are educated, when people are well nourished, when children are well nourished, and when children are educated, and they grow up, that education can take a whole family out of the cycle of poverty.
Absolutely.
So this is the very strategic intervention, school meal program, and the government of India is doing it in a very big scale. If I'm right, the biggest school meal program in the world is happening in India,
Oh, wow.
run by the government of our country.
That's amazing.
And India is a very large country, large population, diverse population. And finally, to reach the benefits to the children, it is the required government is open to working with civic society organizations, non-profit organizations like Akshaya. That's where we come in, and we bring a certain kind of a compassion and heart, and also bring technology. Madhu Pandit Dasa is an engineer from IIT Bombay. And I remember in the year 2000, when the very first kitchen was designed, he was actively involved in planning the cauldrons, steam generators, and conveyor belts,
Wow.
custom built vehicles, including the containers that take the food to the school. All of these things, there was a certain amount of engineering and technology. And this technology usually is used in the for-profit sector, but now here we were trying to do this in the non-profit sector to benefit the children.
That's so beautiful.
So, the might of the government, the compassion of an NGO like ours, and the use of technology, and with the money that the government was giving, we still needed an extra money. We need money for setting up these centralized kitchens and to deliver the food and to ensure quality standards and to have all of these checks and balances in place. It requires a certain extra amount of money, more than what the government is providing.
Absolutely.
And so if corporates and conscientious individuals come forward and we all come together and make this happen, it's going to change the future of our country. That's our strong belief. We want to ensure no child in our country is deprived of education because of hunger, and education will take the entire family out of the cycle of poverty. And if we do this consistently for 15 years, 20 years, all the numbers that you are mentioning, it will change.
That's so beautiful.
That's our confidence.
Thank you for sharing that.
And
I'm
almost half of the cost of the meal we need to raise from the donors. Other half comes from the government.
Got it.
Yeah, today it costs $20 a year. That's the deficit that we have to feed one child.
Understood.
And successfully we have been raising. We consider that when human beings' compassion is aroused and they respond very positively, and Akshaya Patra program is very blessed with people coming forward to support this program in the last 20 years.
Absolutely. And I think, thank you for sharing such a beautiful message.
Today we feed 2.2 million children every day
Oh, wow.
in India from 67 kitchens all over the country. And we don't have a corpus. We raise money, we receive money from the government, and sometimes the government payments takes 3 months, 6 months, right? So we feed the children, and on this scale, when you're running, when you don't have a corpus, it is nothing short of a miracle.
Absolutely.
And so we don't have a corpus. Our real corpus is the goodwill of the people, our confidence in the people and their compassion. And when we tell them that this is what is happening, this is the need, and people come forward. In the last 23 years, we have been feeding just in this way. And we are very confident people will continue to support this program. And especially here, people in America, Indians,
Maybe.
also come from humble backgrounds, many of them.
Yeah.
And they are doing well. And it is to support children in our country. I'm sure they'll all come forward and we can accomplish this mission jointly.
Maybe this podcast can, attract someone to make a huge endowment as a corpus to help feed more children.
Absolutely. And that's all we hope and wish for, that the support keeps coming, the trust keeps coming, the love keeps coming, and that compassion keeps coming, and we keep doing the best for our children. And we are nearing towards the end, so would like to ask you, what is that one message you would like to give to the children of the world?
The children of the world, there are both underprivileged ones and the privileged ones.
Yes.
So my message to the privileged children is to remember that there are many children who do not even have, even a meal a day.
Mm-hmm.
And their only meal is probably when they come to the school. So the children of the world, of the privileged children, they should induce their parents, they should induce the elders to participate in alleviating classroom hunger.
Wow.
So this should be my message to the children who can do something for the other children.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. And Prabhu, what's your message to the children?
In India, we have a huge population. Sometimes that's seen as a disadvantage, but we don't see it that way. We are very positive about it. If the children are educated,
Mm-hmm.
if the children are well nourished,
Mhm.
educated,
Mhm.
we have seen there is plenty of human talent in our country. India can provide the talent that is needed all over the world, and already it is happening in a significant way. So, if children are well fed and well educated, and that their talent blossoms, an opportunity, a context is created for their talent to blossom, then we will have a different country and we will have a different world. And so, the children who are privileged should think about the children who are not so privileged. And the children who are not so privileged should understand what the government is doing, what the people are doing, what's the aspiration, what's the potential that's available to them, and take advantage of all the facilities that the governments and other NGOs and other people with concern are providing, and take advantage of this and come out of the cycle of poverty and let their talents blossom and learn to negotiate in a world where multiple opportunities are unfolding, and education is an important factor to really benefit from these opportunities that are unfolding. And so children should do well for themselves, for their families, and for the country and for all of humanity.
Absolutely.
And end of it, those beneficiaries of Akshaya Patra, we have seen many of them, they've got good jobs and earning well. Now Akshaya Patra is almost 22 years. So we have today many chartered accountants, who are doctors, who are beneficiaries of Akshaya Patra, and they love to promote Akshaya Patra.
Wow, that's so beautiful, and that's like
It goes a full circle.
and it's a Silicon Valley term. like 10x leverage and 100x leverage. So I can see the leverage we are creating here just by that, starting with the classroom midday meal, but the leverage it has on someone's life and in the entire society and the community and the world. It is just a great example.
There are many, many anecdotes. We not only have done third-party surveys and studies, we also have a lot of anecdotes, anecdotal evidence of children. Their parents were vegetable vendors. She was going to the school and she was getting a meal. And because of the meal, the parents said, "You be in the school." And then later on, she turned out to become a chartered accountant. And like this, there are many examples of stories from all over the country, how much a meal matters and how it is benefiting them.
And just to end, what would be the message for our kind donors and the volunteers who are keeping the ship running? What's your message to them?
It's first of all, it's a message of gratitude to them for participating in this endeavor.
Sure.
And assisting Akshaya Patra organization to fulfill its mission that no child should go hungry and no child should be deprived of education because of hunger.
Right.
That's the mission of Akshaya Patra.
Cumulatively, we are almost going to touch 4 billion meals.
Oh, wow.
In the last 23 years. And it's like feeding all of India 4 times.
Yes.
So we are able to do this, number one, because of the government support, and number two, because of all the support from the donors and volunteers of Akshaya Patra. We are absolutely grateful and delighted to have their contributions. And we all should continue to do more of this because there is a big need. There is a lot more to be done back in our country. And we have to keep doing this maybe for the next 20 years, 30 years, when things have changed in a dramatic way in our country.
So much so that there may not be a need for midday meal.
Absolutely.
The whole population would have come out of the poverty line.
And families can take care of the feeding of their own children rather than be dependent on a welfare program like this.
Absolutely. And with that, I'm hugely grateful and blessed to be talking to both of you and addressing our viewers and listeners. Prabhu, thank you so much for being with us today. And we hope that all the wishes you just mentioned, they come true in our lifetimes. And just very grateful and thank you again to both of you for being here.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thanks to you for taking this message of Akshaya Patra to more and more people.
Thank you so much, Prabhu.
The mother makes a good meal for a child, irrespective of her means and capability, all across the globe. Yeah. So that is what you try to essentially reproduce. We as humans, ourselves, look at us. If you don't get the morning cup of coffee, we can't concentrate. So how do we expect a child who's hungry to go to school? In our scriptures, we always talk about tansa, mansa, and tansa seva, right? And that's exactly what you're saying. Which one is more important is not the question. The question is, we have our means and resources. Whichever one we can give. If we can give all three, that's good. But most people, if they give one or two, that's what they can do. So do look at the question from a point of view of which one are you capable of working on. Some people, writing a check is the easiest way. And for some people, volunteering their time is the best way. I think the best outcome that I would say that we aspire for is to obviate the need of Akshaya Patra. We shouldn't exist if the society is harmoniously, conducively taking care of the well-being of everyone, we wouldn't be needed. So that's what we would aspire for.
Hello, viewers and listeners, and ladies and gentlemen. Today, we are here with you in our first ever Akshaya Patra podcast. And we are so fortunate to have Navin, who is the CEO of Akshaya Patra USA. A quick introduction about myself. I am a business technology veteran, been in the industry for 20 years, built multi-million dollar products, and I'm so passionate about Akshaya Patra. And I love children, their well-being. Anything related to children is the love of my life. And when I saw Akshaya Patra, I just felt that this is the place where I want to be. I want to devote my life to this beautiful cause which Akshaya Patra started 22 years ago in India by serving midday meals to underprivileged children, to help them come to schools, to help build a better future for ourselves. And this is such a proud moment that we are doing this for the first time, where we are starting this initiative and spreading more awareness for our viewers, listeners, our kind donors, parents, everybody in the world. We so welcome you to this beautiful place called Akshaya Patra. And I'm so fortunate and humbled to talk to Navin today, who's the CEO of Akshaya Patra USA, and an amazing and kind person, and a technology veteran and a philanthropist.
Thank you, Nidhi. Such kind words. I'm floored myself, but your love for Akshaya Patra is what is, the story behind all of this. So I couldn't say anything special about the stuff that we do, but in a very simple sense, we are an organization that in India, has been working for 22 years, simply ensuring that every child can go to school and stay in school and focus on their education, because hungry child can typically never be expected to focus and study. We as humans, ourselves, look at us. If you don't get the morning cup of coffee, we can't concentrate. So how do we expect a child who's hungry to go to school? And that's been our mission since our creators, in India, Bangalore, started with 1,500 kids feeding program out of a kitchen. And today, we are proud to say, thanks to our supporters, which are 24,000 families in the US, we do this day in, day out in India for about 2 million kids.
That's awesome. That's beautiful. What brought you here? What inspired you to join Akshaya Patra?
In my particular case, I'm a simple guy. I look at it like this: that first 35 years of my life, after graduating from college, I basically worked in the technology field and management field, ran companies and so on and so forth, and always had the love for doing things for humanity at large, but just got carried away and consumed by the regular life, feeding 2 kids and a family, right? And then I got an opportunity when I turned 58 years old, and I said, someone called me up and said, Naveen, you have 2 choices. You can play golf every day, or you can actually make a difference in this world. And it didn't take me even 30 seconds to make the decision. And I basically look at it this way: instead of taking care of 2 kids, I take care of 2 million, and I just adopted the rest. And since then, I've never looked back, and that's what I do.
That is so beautiful. One of the statistics which I was fascinated when I looked at was, and I felt a lot of pain as well, that 29% of world's children are in India who are malnourished. And Akshaya Patra is helping to close that gap. And sorry.
Yeah, no, it's true. Malnourishment, undernourishment, implications of debilitation, these numbers are enormous. To just give you a little context, 300 million kids in the world are in that kind of stage. And it's not that India is the only one country that has this challenge. We have it all over the world, but the numbers in India are enormous. Close to 100 million of these 300 are in India.
Wow, yeah, one third almost. And do you think, have we scratched the surface, or have we solved the problem less than 10%, or what is it? What do we need to do? What is required, and how far have we come? I know we started doing 2 years ago. Do you think we have a long way to go? What keeps you up at night?
It's like this. I learned this. In this world of trying to do good, we have to keep the heart and the mind sort of congruent. We can't focus on what we have not been able to accomplish. We have to look at what we do. So today we serve 2 million kids and we wish the very best for them. Tomorrow we may be at 3 million and that will be the number. But looking at the 100 million, you have to look at the glass half full, not the glass half empty. So yes, indeed, we would love to do the 300 million kids all over the world. But I think the best outcome that I would say that we aspire for is to obviate the need of Akshaya Patra. We shouldn't exist if the society is harmoniously, conducively taking care of the well-being of everyone. We wouldn't be needed. So that's what we would aspire for. So I wouldn't worry too much about the big numbers.
I know there are kitchens in the schools in India. What do you think are some of the best kitchens, and what can the world learn from them?
I think the question really is that, to serve a meal to a child in the school, the mother makes a good meal for a child irrespective of her means and capability all across the globe. Yeah. So that is what you try to essentially reproduce. So what is a good kitchen is very difficult to answer in that sense, because everybody emulates the mother's food. However, I think what is relevant for Akshaya Patra and for all those folks who want to do social transformation or the intervention for good outcomes is how effectively, efficiently, and tasteful meal preparation, healthy, nutritious meal, with delivery being done to the schools at large. All of it economically, sustainably, right? So that's what a good kitchen for us is. And we are very proud to say that out of the 67 odd kitchens we have, at least 50 plus of them, will compete with any standard in any part of the world and will beat them, because they use technology, they use the means of production which are efficient, effective, and innovative, and they've been built by the masters, from the very best schools to technologists.
And how many people overall Akshaya Patra has, or maybe how many people are helping Akshaya Patra, and what do you think is the vision? How many people do we really need? Or is that even a basic question? Should we even asking that? Or
we are supported, by more than 1,500 corporates. We are supported by about 24,000 families in the US, as I said earlier, and the number of the Akshaya Patra family. I think the way to look at it is, it's not a religion that we need everybody to follow it. The patrons of Akshaya Patra, the families that we touch, the workforce that makes this possible day in, day out, which is about 8,000 plus people, working day in, day out to deliver these hot, fresh meals in the school. That's our ecosystem. And I think no number is enough, but whatever we have, every day, it grows up by one. Take your own example.
that's beautiful, and that's awesome. There are generally, it's said that there are 3 kinds of philanthropy. talent, time, or maybe someone donates their wealth or money or whatever. What do you think is the most important form of philanthropy?
It's like saying, of course, in our scriptures, we always talk about tansa, matsa, and dansa seva, right? And that's exactly what you're saying. Which one is more important is not the question. The question is, we have our means and resources. Whichever one we can give. If we can give all three, that's good. But most people, if they give one or two, that's what they can do. So do look at the question from a point of view of which one are you capable of working on. Some people, writing a check is the easiest way, and for some people, volunteering their time is the best way, right? So
That's beautiful. And well said. What is that one message to all the children who are watching this? What's that one message from you and from Akshaya Patra and from
I think that's my simple message to the kids is, guys, be the best, sky's the limit, and never give up hope and faith that you will get breaks in life, and when they do come, grab them and never look back. And pay it forward is the last thing I leave the kids with. That when you grow up, take care of someone else.
That's beautiful. And what is that one message to all the donors and the volunteers and the supporters, thousands and millions of supporters all over the world who are watching this?
To them, I would say this: thank you for making this work that we do possible. And this is God's work, and I think look at this giving more as joy for you and satisfaction for you, and I'm sure that's what you do. And the one request I would have is, we've not done as well of promoting the work we do, and so like you said, this podcast is your way of getting us the outreach. So I would say to them that, hey, talk to your neighbor, talk to your friend, talk to your family, and let's keep the good work going. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And maybe the one last question. What are you most grateful for in life?
I'm most grateful for being married to my wife.
That's awesome.
Because to be candid, everything I do today, this side of me, the softer side of me, as I say, is her creation. And so I'm very fortunate for that. I'm blessed with two kids, and they've grown up, and now I have a grandson, which is 7 months old. So I got everything in life going for me. And then, if that was not enough, I got the 2 million kids' love and joy.
That is so beautiful, and that's so amazing. And I think, yes, you are one of the most blessed people. So congratulations, Navin, and I'm sure you deserve it all. But this is so beautiful, profound in a way where we got to hear straight from the heart, from the CEO of Akshaya Patra USA, of what's going on. Anything else would you like to share with our viewers?
I think we have our standard message, which I can't resist but not speak about, right? So just to give you a little feel of the work we do and what how we can all be partaking in it. We typically feed a child for about 1 year in the school for only $20, and so my closing comment would be that a meal typically in a restaurant in the United States is more than $20. So if we always be cognizant of the fact that we can take care of a child for a year, then let it be so that everyone can make a difference and should make a difference, and that's the message I would leave behind.
That's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing this with us, Navin.
Thank you, Nidhi, and thank you all for making this possible for us, and God bless.
Thank you so much, and thanks to the team who are here with all of us recording this, and thanks to all the teams back there at Akshaya Patra who have made this happen today. But I'm so grateful and fortunate to be talking to you and reaching out to you in your home, in your car, in your kitchen, wherever you're watching or listening to this. Thank you so much and have a fantabulous day. We see you all in the next episode. Thank you. Bye. On behalf of 2 million children and thousands of hunger warriors, we thank you for your support and generosity. Let us together work to bring wings to the dreams of children.